Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into an absolutely epic story, one of gods, gold, and some pretty wild genetic engineering. This is a cosmic history that claims to reveal the real origins of humanity. This is the story of the Anunnaki.
You know, the whole thing is framed as this incredible history, like a first-hand account told by a god directly to a human scribe. It's supposed to be the true story of how we began and of the gods who once walked right here among us.
All right, so our story doesn't even kick off on Earth. We have to go way out there, to a distant world called Nibiru. It's this planet on a long, majestic orbit, but right now it is facing a total, catastrophic threat to its very existence. See, for eons, Nibiru had this thick, protective atmosphere that shielded it from all the harshness of space. But now, that shield is failing. A hole has literally appeared in their sky, and it's getting bigger, threatening to wipe out every living thing on the planet. And you know, this wasn't something that happened overnight. No, it was this long, slow-motion disaster. They had political unity, but that crumbled into these bitter fights over who should be king, and all the while their planet's atmosphere is just bleeding out into space. It gets so bad that one king just starts praying instead of actually doing anything, forcing everyone into this desperate search for one last crazy solution.
So what do? The planet's top minds, the scientists and scholars, they come up with this wild idea. They figure that if they can grind up gold into a superfine dust and spray it into the upper atmosphere, it could actually patch the hole and save their world. Just one little problem. Gold was incredibly rare on Nibiru.
But they knew of one place that was loaded with it. The seventh planet, a world they called Ki, which we call Earth. The problem was, to get here, they'd have to fly through the Hammered Bracelet, what we know as the asteroid belt. And it was a treacherous one-way trip. No one who had ever tried to cross it had ever come back.
But against all odds, a mission finally succeeds. They make it. The first Anunnaki explorers punch through that cosmic gauntlet and land on our world. And this is the moment that's going to change Earth forever.
So they set up shop, their first base, Eridu, and they start digging for that precious gold. But they immediately hit a new, crippling problem. The gold was there all right, but the physical work of mining it was absolutely brutal. Way too harsh for their bodies. Morale just tanks, and it isn't long before a full-blown rebellion breaks out among the miners.
Okay, so the whole mission is about to completely collapse. The commander of the mission, a guy named Enlil, is absolutely furious. But his half-brother, the brilliant chief scientist Enki, he has an idea. And this idea is going to change the destiny of two worlds forever.
And Enki's plan? Whoa, it was seriously out there. His idea was to use their advanced genetic technology to engineer a totally new being. They would take the life essence of an early hominid that was already evolving here on Earth, mix it with their own Anunnaki DNA, and create a primitive worker, a helper, made in their own image who would be smart enough to follow orders. This was it. This was the birth of humanity.
And you know what? The plan worked. It worked beautifully. This new being, mankind, was created. But in solving their labor crisis, the Anunnaki accidentally kicked off a bitter, deep-seated rivalry among themselves that would last for ages.
And this new fight all centered on those two half-brothers. You've got Enki, the scientist, our creator. He feels a real connection to humanity. He sees us as his kids, full of potential and wonder. But then there's Enlil, the rigid commander. He sees us as tools, just a workforce, created for one reason and one reason only, to toil.
And as humanity started to multiply, making noise, living our lives, Enlil's annoyance just grew and grew into this cold, hard fury. He saw our existence as a disruption to his mission, a threat to his order. He basically started seeing us as a mistake that needed to be erased.
So right as these tensions are about to boil over, a massive natural catastrophe starts brewing across the solar system. And for most people, that's a terrifying threat. But for Enlil, he saw it as an opportunity.
See, the Anunnaki astronomers, they knew it was coming. Their home planet, Nibiru, was going to make a close pass by Earth, and its massive gravity was going to cause a catastrophic disruption. For Earth, that meant a colossal tidal wave, a global flood that would essentially hit the planet's reset button.
And Enlil makes his call. They were going to let it happen. The Anunnaki would just hop in their skyships, ride out the storm from orbit, and leave humanity to be wiped out.
And to make absolutely sure no one interfered, he forced every single one of the Anunnaki leaders, including Enki, to swear an unbreakable oath of secrecy.
But Enki, he was bound by that oath. He couldn't go and directly warn a human, but he was our creator. He just couldn't stand by and watch us be annihilated. So, being the genius he was, he started looking for a clever way out, a loophole. And he finds one. It's so brilliant. He goes to the hut of a man he considers righteous, this guy Ziusudra. But instead of talking to the man, he speaks to the wall of the hut, knowing Ziusudra would overhear it all in a dream. And in that dream, he gives him the exact instructions to build a special submersible boat, a vessel that could survive the coming flood and keep the spark of life going. Well, the waters finally receded, and the Anunnaki came down from their ships. They descended to a world that was silent, muddy, and completely transformed. A blank slate. You can just imagine Enlil's face when he sees Ziusudra and his family alive and well. His rage is off the charts. He knows instantly that Enki was behind it, and he is ready to kill his brother right then and there. But Enki, ever the diplomat, reasons with him, arguing that humanity's survival, well, it must have been the will of the creator of all.
So reluctantly, Enlil accepts that humanity is here to stay. The Anunnaki become our teachers. They grant us the gifts of civilization, kingship, writing, knowledge of the stars, the whole shebang. But, and this is a huge but, they divided the world between their own warring clans. They basically embedded their ancient rivalry right into the foundations of our first societies. And so that cosmic history really sets the stage for, well, everything that comes next. The rise of kings in Sumer, the Sky Watchers in Egypt, this endless cycle of conflict and creation, all of it shaped by the ambitions of their gods. What you should take away from this is a story that isn't just about our beginning, but maybe about our very nature. A species born from a need for labor, saved by an act of compassion, and forever caught in this cosmic struggle between rigid order and creative wisdom.